kezi omume gị ka iwe wezugara anyị nrịanja niile ọrịa niile nke pụrụ ịdakwasị mmadụ dị ndụ n'ihi na ọ bụ naanị gị bụ onye na-agwọ ọrịa anyị wee na-akpọkụ gị onwe gị bụ sinele nke ndị agha ka iwe mere anyị ebere ka akwa nke anyị na-ebe ka ude nke anyị na-asụ wee bịa n'iru gị ka iwe mee ka Biafra wee guzosi ike ka anyị wee n'ikpete maazị nye ha sọgotụtara nsọpụrụ na ịja mma site n'ebighị ebi ma ruo n'ebighị ebi ise mma dịrị gị Chineke mma dịrị gị Chineke mma dịrị gị Chineke.
Hello and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me on my program once again. I appreciate you wherever you are connecting from. If you are joining me from any part of the world, Africa, Asia, Europe, America, or Australia, whichever part of the world you are joining for me, I appreciate you so much and I thank you for your contribution on my channel. If you have not subscribed, please kindly subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you so much and remember our purpose here. Our purpose here is to speak about the plight of the indigenous people of the contraption called Nigeria, more especially the Biafrans, the Oduduans, and the Middle Belters. I talk about the issues. I am a Biafra, talking more about the issue of the Biafran, and I'm a follower and believer on our spiritual leader BiafraNews Nnamdi Kanu. No going back. As you can see, we are still going on the prayer that we started with our spiritual leader BiafraNews Nnamdi Kanu before he was being abducted. We have to continue on that prayer. That is the easiest way to communicate with our spiritual leader BiafraNews Nnamdi Kanu and know what is in his mind. That is the easiest way to get a direct message from Chukwu Abiyama about what to do and how to go about it. There are a lot of confusions out there. A lot of temptations are coming. A lot of problems are coming. A lot of false information are flying. The only way you can remain concentrated and focused on what we are talking about, which is freedom, is by praying along with our spiritual leader BiafraNews Nnamdi Kanu. If you continue on this 150 days prayer, believe you me, before the end of the prayer, something is going to happen. Our spiritual leader BiafraNews Nnamdi Kanu is alive, well and strong, stronger than ever. He is speaking louder than ever. For those of us who are very close, watching closely, praying along with him, you can hear him. Even when he's not broadcasting, you can hear him directly. Chukwu Abiyama will let you know what is right to say and to do at all times. This is not the time to talk about irrelevant things. This is not the time to begin to go against ourselves. It is the time to be focused. To focus. We are on the last fight. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who is our supreme leader, is taking the bull by the horn. He is doing everything possible wherever he is, praying earnestly for you and I, fighting the battle. He has gone to the last stage of the battle, and we are going to getting to the end of the tunnel where the light will shine. Why are you weak? Why are you relenting in your effort? Why are you listening to gossip? Why are you being distracted? Don't be distracted. Anybody who is not against us is for us. Anybody who is not against us is for us. If somebody is trying to jeopardize the struggle or is trying to be a sabotage, let the person be. Chukwu Abiyama is already in action, taking action, and he's going to take them out one by one. That is why we don't mention names and we don't talk about them. The most important thing that is much more important to us now is the freedom of our spiritual leader Nnamdi Kanu and the freedom of Biafra. We are going to pursue it and follow it to the last. You can't distract us. It doesn't matter what the DSS do. DSS, if they like, they should come and plant their own person among us. We will not listen. We allow them to talk, allow them to say their opinion, allow them to say whatever they want to say. At the end of the day, Chukwu Abiyama will direct us on what to do. And you can see, the Biafran spirit have taken over Biafran land. And every Biafran, I must tell you, every true Biafran who is fighting for freedom knows what to do. And they are doing exactly what they have to do. Whatever your heart tells you to do, for the actualization of Biafra, go ahead and do it. Whatever your heart tells you to do for the actualization of Biafra, go and do it. That is the message. If you have forgotten, that's the message of our spiritual leader Nnamdi Kanu also. He said, anything you can do to bring Biafra to him, go and do it. If you feel he's not doing it right, if you feel his method is so strong for you and so tough for you, go along your own way and do whatever you can do to bring Biafra. That is what we should all be doing. Not listening to gossip, not talking against each other, and not gossiping. That is why I am still following the footsteps and talking about the actualization of Biafra and nothing more. There's nothing more that matters to me than to have Biafra, a nation that can be proud of. That is the only thing I'm concerned about. And I would like everybody who is talking about Biafran struggle to focus on our freedom, focus on the freedom of supreme leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and forget about other irrelevant things. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has already put a structure in place, and everybody should know what they're supposed to do. Go ahead and begin to do what you're supposed to do. And if you fail to do your own duty, it's left for you. Chukwu Abiyama will flog you, and before you know it, you'll be out of the game. It is already happening. Chukwu Abiyama is not sleeping. We have to continue to do what we have to do the necessary thing, and continue to speak up when it is necessary. Now we go to the main issue on board. You know, the main topic in the ground now that people are talking about is the open grazing. Everywhere you go on the social media, in the conventional media, what they are talking about is the open grazing, open grazing, open grazing. Remember, the Southeast governors told us that they were going to ban open grazing in the whole southern part of Nigeria by September. September has come. Some of the governors have already enacted the law, and open grazing have been banned, and some of the governors are still drawing back. But the most annoying and most painful is the Southeastern governors. The Southeastern governors are still silent, pretending as if they don't know what is happening. Look at Hope Uzodinma, even talking that he doesn't know what is. He doesn't have any law against open grazing. Anybody who is still doubting about the Fulanization of Nigeria or the Islamization of Nigeria must be a fool, must be a clown. It's either you are pretending, protecting your loot, or you are pretending out of your wickedness or out of your envy and jealousy. You do not accept it. But the fact, that message that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu preached and spoke about the Fulani hegemony is playing out on this their grazing issue. When you see them talking about the grazing route, what do you think they are pursuing? There is nothing else they are pursuing except your land. They have not talked about the herdsmen that are going about killing people and destroying their farm. Everybody is silent. They just behave as if nothing is happening. Herdsmen going into people's farm to destroy it. But the most annoying thing again is when you see their conventional media coming out to report this issue, they will never report it the way it is. They will come and tell you about herdsmen and farmers clash, which never existed anywhere. Herdsmen and farmers are not clashing. The herdsmen are only going about killing the farmers and destroying their farms. How can you be clashing with somebody who sits at his home or in his farm farming, or somebody who is sleeping and you went and killed him in his sleep? How is that clash? How is that a clash? How can you interpret that to be clash? Maybe English language have a different meaning in the mouth of a one Nigerian race. Maybe English word, maybe it has a different meaning in the mouth of a Nigerian. The media will be talking about clash when you know very well that it is this killer herdsmen that go and kill the farmers in their farm and in their homes. It happens every now and again. And they are continue to push a wrong narrative out there. If you think the thing we are talking about is a joke, I'm going to play for you a video of somebody who this cow went to his farm and destroyed. This very farm, I'm telling you, it's not like a garden, a farm that was fenced with a fence. They opened the fence, take their cow inside and destroy the crops. Are you going to tell me that that is a clash? Are you going to tell me that is a clash? Watch the video.
Don't lock that in, leave it. Leave it. Because I don't know why you should be carrying your cow. All the grass all over the place is not enough for you to take it to my farm. Leave it. Because I'm going to report you guys. Look at what they did to my farm. Allowed their cow in, and they have allowed their cow in to finish my crops. Look at all the cassava plants are down. All my cassava, everything is down. Only God knows if they didn't touch my vegetables. Look at. Look at my cassava. This is what I suffered to do here this year. And they allowed their cow in to come and finish my crops. Look at this. Look at this. It was a neighbor that called me now. I had to rush down from the office. I just pray that my yam, they have not finished that one too. Look at my yam. Everything is on the floor. The stick. Even try to uproot the yam.
After watching this video, are you still going to be talking about the headers clash, or you think it's a joke? There is nothing else they are looking for than trouble. They want to kill as many people as they can, and they want to take the land by force. You just watch that video. This was a farm that was fenced with a fence and locked. Then the so-called header opened the fence, pushed the cow inside to go and destroy the crops. And the owner came there helplessly. If you were to be in that position of that very woman that was talking, what will you do? Just see how the woman was complaining helplessly. She couldn't do anything, because if she does anything, the police will arrest her. The SS will come against her. The DSS will come against her. She'll be locked up. That is the situation Nigeria has found itself. And that is why we are speaking up. This problem is not just against the Biafrans. It's not just against the Ududuans. It's against every indigenous tribe in that country called Nigeria. They want to kill us. They want to destroy us. And they are planning to do it by all means possible. Every law that has been enacted in Nigeria, which was supposed to be practiced and obeyed, a law that favors every indigenous tribe, they never obey it. Instead, they are twisting the law to favor them. When you talk about banning open grazing, they tell you about human rights to move. They tell you about ECOWAS human right to move. The human right talked about movement of human being, not movement of cattle. Movement of human being, not movement of cattle. But when you see them, they narrate this issue, you'll be wondering from which planet are these people coming from? From which planet? They talk about, now they're talking about ranching, and that it is the government that is going to sponsor this ranching. Government will provide their money to ranch a cow that an individual owns. And people are defending it on national television, talking about this nonsense on national television and defending it. Even the people who are presenting the program continue to talk rubbish and defend it. Before we continue, I would like you to watch this very interview that was granted on national television. Then you will see the point the lawyer was making. A very genuine and clear point. It was so clear. But even as clear as it is, the presenter will always try to twist the whole matter, even when it is impossible to twist. Let us watch this interview that was granted to a very intelligent lawyer that gave the answer the way it's supposed to be.
Deadline September the 1st was set by southern states to stop open grazing. A number of states quickly rushed to promulgate their laws and have since signed them into law. However, a few states have delayed in the South. We're looking at the implications of that particular law as signed by a number of states and what will be expected, the fallouts of it, because we've also seen response by governors who are not in the South saying that the results of the decision by southern governors has had an effect on their own states as well. We've seen that of Kwara, we've seen Kebbi, we've seen a few, even Gombe, coming out to say that they now have to make provisions for the herders who will be coming from the south of the country back to the northern parts of the country. So there are definitely implications for this. But we want to talk about the legal implication of this morning. We have with us Mr. Chukwuma Machukwume, who is a senior advocate of Nigeria and a former Attorney General of Imo State. We thank you for coming on Sunrise Daily this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you saw the deadline which was issued by southern governors, and you also saw the drive by them to ensure that they did it within legal ambits. A few of them have delayed, a few have met the deadline which they set for themselves. But did you see a problem arising from the decision by southern governors?
There's no single problem at all. They have operated within the ambit of the law. The law gives them rights. If you look at Section 4 of the Constitution, which established the National Assembly and the House of Assembly, the State House of Assembly, Section 4, particularly 6 and 7, said the House of Assembly of a state is to make law for peace, order, and good governance of the states. So, what they have done was, the House of Assembly of these states have done, was to work on the provision of the Constitution that gives them the power to provide, make law, enact law for the peace, order, and good governance of the states. So it is within their ambit to do, and they have done so. So the governors signing it have also implemented what the Constitution envisaged in Section 5, that says the President executes the law enacted by the National Assembly, while the governor executes the law enacted by the House of Assembly. So we're within the law. They're within the law.
Well, some states did this in such a way that they, first of all, made provisions for ranching, for cattle. But I do not know if that was carried in all. I haven't seen all the laws of all the states. It is how it is reported in the dailies that we know what has transpired in the state, or how our correspondents who are on the ground in many states are also reporting that story. But some state governments did make provisions for ranching. However, it was seen that that hasn't been largely carried, because we've seen some other states report an influx of herders back into their states in such a way that it is affecting the balance and even the good governance of their own states as well. So in your own opinion, the implications of this, you might say that there is no problem, but the implications, because whether or not we accept it, every law will certainly have implications for those who will follow it and those who would implement it. Would you say that the implications were well thought out before we went on with the laws?
I think the problem is that we are trying to move ahead to solve a problem that ought to have been solved in a proper way. That's what we're having now is the ejaculation of ideas. First and foremost, the question of open grazing, is this what we should be talking about now? The question of open grazing is an outdated practice. Let me put it in the proper context. The number of cows being produced worldwide and the system they're using. Take, for instance, Brazil. Brazil produces each year 252 million cows, which is about 39% of the world production. USA produces 93 million each year. European Union produces 85 million per year. Argentina produces 53 million per year. Nigeria produces only 20 million. And then what are the systems they're using? Argentina is using ranching. USA is using ranching. European Union, all European Union are using ranching. Argentina is using ranching. It is only Nigeria, with all this land mass and everything and population, producing only 20 million using open grazing.
You know, there's been...
So, invariably,
yes,
we are undercutting ourselves by using this system of open grazing that is causing a lot of problems.
Exactly. So now there is a historical background to our own, to the evolution of the consumption of cattle. It would seem in Nigeria, it would seem that we haven't quite approached this as a business. It would seem that we have relied heavily on, I don't want to just say an ethnic group, because it's not an ethnic thing, but we know that largely a major ethnic group has been responsible for providing a lot of the cattle which has been responsible, which has been consumed in Nigeria. And the rearing of cattle has now evolved around their own way of life and culture. And it is as a result of the conflict that this is having with farmers that we have now begun to pay it a little more attention. That's in terms of the I don't want to say the crisis that has emanated from this, but we have now seen increased conflict that has now gone beyond, people ate crops, or cattle ate crops. It's now gone into the loss of lives, and not just loss of lives, but a massive loss of lives, and even allegations of land grabbing, so to speak. So that is now what has elevated this discussion in the Nigerian context. It is not because we want to make a business of this. It's not because, there was some concerted thought before now, that this is not the way to go in terms of what we're doing with cattle, but to make it a business. This is the background against which we have made these laws around ranching and also against open grazing. So from that perspective, do you think that we have handled the sensitivities in such a way that we haven't hidden behind the cloak of law to handle the situation on the ground?
Yes, I think I get what you mean, and I think you're right, because what is the need of adopting a measure that you know is not yielding the proper results? Why are we talking about open grazing when we know open grazing is not yielding the proper results in terms of the number of cows that is needed? We are using it because, as people are already now thinking, that open grazing is even going to be used to solving a different problem, a different agenda. If not, you see open grazing leading to murdering of people. You see open grazing leading to shortage of food security. Farmers are no longer going to their farm to farm. You see open grazing leading to people talking about land grabbing of our ancestral homes. You see open grazing leading to US citizens, Nigerian citizens, leaving their home in fear and going to settle in IDP camps. And you know that the open grazing, from the data I have given you, this data I didn't manufacture it.
Indeed, sir.
So you see that the open grazing is making us to produce, not up to 1/10 of what we ought to be producing if we are using ranching. So it means then that since open grazing is surcharging us, any person advancing that method is rather pursuing a different goal, which some people call ethnic hegemony.
So what are your thoughts? Do you think that for the states that have eventually signed this anti-open grazing bill into law, are you certain that they will, are you confident that they will be able to implement or uphold their laws? Because this is not the first time that we've seen it. Before, way before now, I think about 6 years ago, we saw Ekiti State. Ekiti had the anti-open grazing law. It was promulgated under former Governor Fayoshe. We also saw Benue State about that same time, you know, enact their ranching law, and we saw them also try to pass, or not just try, they did pass an anti-open grazing law, and we've seen the conflict that is also continued to stir in the state. So are you confident that, one, this will put an end to the controversy and the conflicts that we have seen, farmers and between farmers and herdsmen, one? Will it put an end to that? And then two, first of all, let's handle that. Are you confident that it will put an end to the conflict that we've seen?
I think one way or the other it will, but I think there is more. I read in the Guardian some time ago, in the editorial, that the president has earmarked 6-point-something billion for Katsina State for ranching. That is the way to go. Ranching should be the order of the day. So, those states where the spaces are there, where the governors who has the land allows the ranches to be placed there. If ranches are organized, all these cows can go into one, and then we have multiple numbers. Nigeria has a lot of institutes dealing with this hybriding of cows. These research efforts that are going on in these institutes, can it be useful when you are having open grazing, when all these institutes, would they be running around the whole country to treat these cows?
Are you confident, the question is, are you confident that this will put an end to the conflict?
It will, particularly joined with the fact that there could be ranches. There will be ranches. Because if you ask if you said, all the states said open grazing not allowed, eventually if there are no ranches, where will these cows be? So there is need to solve this problem fundamentally from the way I have just read in the Guardian about the 6-point-something billion ranches being earmarked for Katsina State. If the ranches are now open there, then all these cows will be now moved from these roaming states where they're roaming, and then moved to these ranches, and the problem will be solved. And so, if I may come back to your question of the power of the governors. Look, there was this law, the Grazing Reserve Law, that was passed in northern Nigeria some time ago. I mean, that law cannot be operating the way it's being floated now, being made to appear as if it is a federal law. No, that law is not a federal law. That law was made by the House of Assembly of the Northern Region. And that law, if you bring it up now, you must submit it to the provision of Section 315 of the Constitution that said all existing laws must be brought in with modification to be in conformity with the provision of the Constitution. As things are now, the things have changed since that 1965 law was passed. The lands are now in the hands of the governors. They are now in the hands of the governors. And the governors has the power to pick that any of the law that anywhere in the states where they're affected, that is affected, to each of the governors of the northern states will pick that law, modify it, because the law set appropriate authority, which is the governor, modify it to suit the provision of the Constitution, which has made land matter exclusively in the hand of the governors.
Okay, let me quickly send this to Lagos now. I know that my colleagues have questions for you. Coyote.
Well, that's right, Margaret, thanks. I'd like you to just also respond to this side of the debate, really, and this has come up time and again, the talk about constitutionally guaranteed right of movement and occupation, and those that have seemed to support the open grazing mode of running the business always point to this, saying, well, there's a constitutional right and the rest. So if you could just also respond to that in the context of this conversation, how does that come to play with the laws that are being, promulgated across the states, or southern states, that is?
Before, freedom of movement. Freedom of movement is in the context of fundamental right of human beings, not fundamental right of cows, not fundamental rights of spare parts, not fundamental rights of houses, not fundamental rights of any other trade. It is fundamental right of human beings. And meanwhile, fundamental right of human beings is not all commerce. Your right stops at the right of the others. Your right to carry on your business is not the same thing as a right to kill others in order to carry on your business. It's not. So fundamental right of movement has its own limitations, which are the rights of others to also exist and also own their own property. Your right of movement is not the same thing that it will enable you to come into my bedroom and start converting my bedroom as your shop. It's not what the law is envisaging. Fundamental right of movement is not the same thing as you should move and go into Aso Rock and start building your house there because you have fundamental right of movement or to own property. There are limitations within the law. So, I do hope that has, in one way, answered your question that fundamental right of movement is not the same thing as fundamental right as the cow to move into any area, and where that area is not easy to enter, you now use machete and AK-44, AK-47, and kill people in order for your cow to enter. No. That is not fundamental right of movement. That's not fundamental right of...
Pardon me, I smile because, lawyers will come again and I mean, tell you that, well, there's another side to that. That's why I smile, because, your submission will definitely always be countered by some other lawyers. But I'd like us to talk about the implementation of, these laws across some of the states that have, signed it into law, as it were. And you look at the police, for example. It's a state law, but you need the police to sort of enforce that law. The police is controlled at the federal level. These issues will need to be taken to court, for cases that need to be taken to court. So how do you see the enforcement playing out? Do you see smooth enforcement, or there are some hiccups, bottlenecks ahead?
Yes. You raised the issue of the police. A very brilliant point. The police provision seems to be an ugly contradiction of the provisions of the Constitution. I take you to what Section 4 says. Section 4 established the National Assembly, the House of Assembly, to make law. Section 5 of the Constitution then established the office of the President and office of the Governor for execution of the laws passed by the House of Assemblies and National Assembly. Then you come to Section 6, which created federal courts, and state courts. The four I have earlier mentioned talked about National Assembly doing laws for the good, for the peace, order, and good government of the federal government. Why the House of Assembly will do for peace, order, and good government of the states. Now, you move to section 214, which established the police, the Nigerian police force. The way Nigerian police force is established, it looks like a correlation that it will be executing the federal laws. But instead of going to talk about federal laws, it seems to be saying that there will be only one Nigerian police force and all that and all that and all that. So invariably, there's a lacuna now that there is no force or security or apparatus within the Constitution that is equivalent to what we have had in 4, 5, and 6, where there is a federal, state, and where there's federal and state. In all the two, National Assembly, House of Assembly, the presidency, governor, federal courts, state courts. So, but then, the leeway is this. The Constitution, if you look at section 214(2), it says, subject to the Constitution. So. And then you look at another problem, section 215, particularly 4, that said a commissioner of state, a commissioner of police in the state, if he wants to carry out an order given by the governor, he has to revert to the president. So, that's where the problem you're highlighting is coming. I think the leeway is section 4, 6, and 7 that said the House of Assembly will make law for the peace, order, and distance. That enables them to create security apparatus.
So let me just quickly ask this as we wrap up now, because I know that a number of things are going to be happening also in the constitutional amendment. Are you confident that some significant changes which will help states even have even more autonomy will come out of the constitutional amendment process? We have to do that in about a minute, sir.
Yes. We look forward to that. That should be devolution of power. That should be devolution of power. In any case, so that should be devolution of power. If the power is, because look at the exclusive legislative list, which has 66 items. 66 items.
Are you confident that that will happen with the constitutional amendment? That's the question.
I look forward to it happening, although I think that is this new idea coming up from the eminent elders of Nigeria, where there's a suggestion that what we ought to do, not ensure this new creation of this alleged attempt for creation of new states, what we ought to do is that the states, as from the zones, should be existing, but the federating points should be the federal, the zones, and the states.
Okay.
The federal, the zones, and the zones will be northeast, northwest, north central, southeast, southwest, south-south. These are the zones. Because you see, there must be some power to be amalgamated to enable these zones to enable their component states feel the pulse of being a federating unit. The idea of piecing these states to become ants, incapable of even organizing themselves, not to talk about looking to the federal and ensuring that federalism, as stipulated in the Constitution, is operated. Continuous division of these states is a way of keeping new federal system on. And that's not good for us.
Well, it's a fine place to leave it. We have to thank you so much for sharing your very honest thoughts with us this morning. Mr. Chukwumama Chukwume is a senior advocate of Nigeria and also the former Attorney General of Imo State. Thank you for coming on Sunrise Daily this morning.
I'm grateful for having me.
After listening to this very interview, do you still have a doubt that these people, the only aim and objective they are looking for is to Fulanize the country and Islamize the country with their own kind of Islam? That is the only agenda the imposter you call Muhammadu Buhari in power has. The only agenda they have is to Islamize this country with their own kind of Islam. That is the only agenda they have. That is why they continue to pursue things that are irrelevant. Talking about grazing routes in 21st century. Grazing route doesn't even exist in the southern part of Nigeria. There's never a time it existed. But they are trying to push it down, force it on their neck by all means possible. They brought Ruga, we said no. They brought livestock, we said no. Even when we talk about the ranching, people should ranch their cow. They didn't say government should fund it. Now, they want to fund the ranching by themselves. Still use ranching to grab land from the indigenous people to ranch for the Fulanis. How does that make sense? The Fulanis, which are less than 7 million in Nigeria, they are less than 7 million in Nigeria. But they have made every matter in Nigeria about the Fulanis. Talking about cow. Since Muhammad Buhari took over power, he has been talking about cow from the one up to date. A cow that does not add anything to the economy of Nigeria. A cow that doesn't even produce enough milk in Nigeria. A cow that he cannot even export. It doesn't bring any income to that country called Nigeria. But they have made every discussion about a cow. A cow that the meat is even poisonous, that other countries will not allow it to be exported to their place. Giving poison to the citizens. Yet, they want to force it on our neck to accept. Talking about ranching, that government will fund ranching. Government should also go and fund spare parts, people selling spare parts. Go and check everywhere that Igbos are doing business, selling their spare parts, or Yorubas are doing their business, selling their spare parts. They develop the land by themselves. They buy the land and develop it. Go and see everywhere that is a business you see. If you talk about Alaba International in Lagos, Alaba International in Lagos was a complete swamp. Complete swamp. Even as it was a swamp that nobody was making use of. The Igbos went and bought that swamp, turned it to a land. They bought the swamp and developed it. They didn't take it free. They bought the land and developed it. Even trade fair you heard of in Lagos, it was some Igbo people that went out. It was still a swamp. Check every other place where you see Igbos have shops, where they have a community of traders. Check in all across the nation. Most of the time it's abandoned land. And even as much as it's an abandoned land, they don't go and take it free. Abandoned land, they don't even go and take it free. They pay for the land and they pay tax. Heavy amount of tax. Why is that rearing of cow? Why is it a different business? Why is it different? If you cannot ranch your cow, you cannot be able to invest money on the cow, forget about it. There are people who can do it. Let the people who can be able to do it and ranch it with their money, go ahead and do it. If you feel you cannot put your money in the ranching, forget about it. This is a private business. It is a private business and will remain a private business. Will remain a private. Why is the government bent on going about this issue of cow and cow every day without even minding what the people say or what the people feel? There is no other reason than they are pursuing the agenda of Othman Danfodio, agenda of Ahmadu Bello, imposing the northern agenda upon every citizen of that very country. That is the only thing. The northern agenda, which is Fulanization of that contract called Nigeria, Islamization of Nigeria. That is what they are pursuing. It is no longer hidden. It is clear. Sometime when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was shouting and crying about it, people thought it's a propaganda. He's saying it because he likes to talk. Today, even in their national television, an insider, a security officer, an insider who is not supposed to speak, have come out to tell us that there are people in the government who want that country to be Islamized by all means possible. And they are pursuing it. They are pursuing it from, look at this very grazing route they are talking about, this grazing, open grazing they are talking about. This open grazing expose everything you need to know about the Islamization agenda. Yet, some people from the southern part of Nigeria are still bent on following this very agenda to promote it. They don't care. They don't care about themselves and they don't care about others. All because of their selfish interests, because of their own envy and jealousy, because they want to protect their own loot. Well, it is not going to be well with you. For those of you who know the truth and refuse to speak the truth and refuse to stand up, you will definitely pay with your own life. They will come after you. They will definitely come after you. This is not about religion. It's not about tribe. The Fulanis know themselves. They talk about it and they boast it. It's either you are Fulani or you're not a human being. So, if you are supporting whatever the imposter in Asorok is pushing forward, wait for your own turn. The death will come to your door. Our supreme leader have done a lot of work and laid a foundation for us to follow, for us to have our freedom. Do not deviate. If you want to be free, follow the foundation that the supreme leader of IPOB have led. There is no two ways about it. Fight for yourself, struggle for yourself, self-defense, and ask for referendum. Referendum is the only way to go. There is no other solution except referendum. There is no other solution for you to be secure and free except referendum. That is why you have to use your own platform. Talk about it, speak about it, shout about it. Let the world hear us. Even if they don't come to our rescue, we will rescue ourselves. Take our freedom by ourselves. May Chukwu Okike continue to bless us in Amadi Nnamdi Kanu. May Chukwu Okike prosper and strengthen our spirit in Amadi Nnamdi Kanu. May Chukwu Okike continue to give him good health wherever he is. Very soon, we are expecting our spirit in Amadi Nnamdi Kanu. He's coming out in victory. He's coming out with the flag of Biafra lifted high very soon. If you're weak, you better be strong. If you are trying to go away, you better watch your movement. If you are busy gossiping, better watch yourself. Double your effort for the actualization of Biafra, because Biafra is here already. Thank you so much for watching, and remember this. Bye-bye. See you again on the next video.